How are we doing, diggers? Hope you're all well. Welcome back to the shop and this flourishing YouTube channel. Thank you so much to everyone tuning in. It's lovely. Gives me a platform to ramble on and talk about my favourite thing, which is records. If you don't know by now, we are Vinyl Shakedown Records. We've got 2 shops in the Midlands, in Leicestershire, one in Burbage, our main shop, and a small unit in Hinckley Town Centre as well. We don't specialise in a certain genre. We sell absolutely everything. So what I said I'd do in this video is talk us through what it's like when we get collections in and how we process them basically. So I'll show you the new in section and I'll show you a couple of boxes that are waiting out the back ready to be processed. So yeah, come with me. So yeah, welcome to the new in section in the shop. This middle table here is the new in section. And we try and get as many records out as we possibly can on a daily basis. I'd say we usually hit our target of around 100 at least in a day, and this is just what we put out yesterday. So a really nice cross-reference across probably about 3 or 4 collections, loads of decent 80s stuff, which is a hot seller at the moment. And there's loads of New Order. We've got the Ruts album in there, absolutely superb. I love that album. Remember these guys from the 2002, I think? Yeah, 2002. Every indie disco you ever went to that was playing at the time. Wonder where they are now. So yeah, New Order. And yeah, funnily enough, I haven't seen an original press of this in a few years with the silver inner and everything. And then we got 2 in at the same time. So yeah, loads of New Order. And then over into this one here. Just a few trade-ins there. We do really well on trade-ins. Got a few trade-ins come in. And then a massive wedge of King Crimson. And I'll show you the rest of that collection in a minute. Henry Cow as well, which fits in. Man and Frit and Eno. And we've got more Eno out the back at the moment. So yeah, that was just what's in yesterday. And then it kind of filters back through. 2 albums at the moment that we cannot keep in stock for more than a day. Kate Bush, Hounds of Love, which has always been an incredibly hot seller because it's blimmin' fantastic. But at the moment, Stranger Things, last couple of years has meant that it only stays in the shop a couple of hours. And then in the last series of Stranger Things, this was played and featured, so therefore this has become hot property, but it always has been. Both albums have always been top tier 80s albums that have always been tricky to keep in the shop. But amazingly, this week we've had both in, which will go straight on the shop floor now. Okay, so we've come out the back now to have a look at this collection here, which is 2 collections across 2 boxes. And I'll go through those. Just to show you what happens out here, we've got waiting to be processed, and then we've got A to Z. So we've got A, C, D, as you can see, and that's more common stuff that when it sells out, we've got a copy in the waiting, ready to go out. You find loads of ABBA, Simon and Garfunkel, Dire Straits, that sort of stuff in these racks, ready to go. So onto these, it's more interesting stuff. This collection, these box and the next box, is the collection that Joy Division came in. The Design for Living 7-inch, which was our rarest record we've ever had through the door. So there's some great, really good alternative, post-punk, crazy stuff in here. I've not seen a copy of that record, so it's really nice to have that in. And the reason why this hasn't made it out on the shop floor is because I like to have something in the reserve, just in case. Just in case another record never comes in. Not happened so far, but it's really nice to have a collection that you've got in the back of your mind, so you know, aha, I'll go and pull out of that one. Some really nice stuff in this. That is the newspaper, sealed newspaper, Radiohead, King of Limbs, really nice. So this guy collected, basically he found a band that he enjoyed, then he collected everything off it. Sadly on the Radiohead front, he just bought it all on CD, but he did have some nice rarities in the CD world of Radiohead, like their first Drill EP, which even on CD is quite a rarity. So he'd have that and he'd buy the whole lot. There was more Talking Heads, sadly, it's already hit the shop floor. And then we're on to some actual interesting bits from this collection. So the Sordid Sentimental was a French magazine, and it featured artists from the punk, post-punk, new wave, around the late 70s into the early 80s, I think. This one was 79. It's Throbbing Gristle's edition, and just gives a sort of an interview with the band, talk through the band. I don't know, don't speak French, could say anything. And it gives you some lovely artwork, and you get a 7-inch single. Now, the real rarity in this is the Joy Division 1. If you find the Joy Division 1, it's incredibly rare. Now, they are numbered as well. I'm not sure how many, but yeah, the Joy Division 1 is really incredibly rare. This one too is pretty rare, but then it's an artist that not everyone gets on with, so less sought after, but still very cool. Love the artwork on that. Then we're on to two of my favourite sleeves, to be fair. This is the Durutti Column sandpaper sleeve. I'm not going to get it out, you know. I'm not sure what sandpaper was used, maybe 60 gram. No, I'm not sure. But there's a couple of different editions of this. Some have a print on this corner, others don't. And the whole idea with this, with the post-punk ethic, was you put it in your record collection and it destroyed the records next to it, which is a very punk way of looking at things. Sadly, if you think about it, the only thing it would destroy is your own band, because that's likely what's going to be next to it. So yeah, great idea though, love that, and a real rarity and in lovely condition. And then post-punk, funk, dance, groove masterpiece, which I came to late with a lot of this stuff. I would have come to it late, I wasn't around at this time. But in around the 2000s, there was a sort of post-punk revival, I would say. Sort of disco post-punk by a band called The Rapture. I remember reading an interview with them, and they talked about Public Image Limited, who I'd heard of, and I knew of John Lydon, obviously Sex Pistols. And they said this was the most influential album to their sound, and I love their sound, so I went back and listened to that. It's absolutely brilliant. And 3 12-inch singles. It's got a little insert in there as well. It's a bugger to open, and it basically started to oxidize as soon as it came out, giving it that industrial look, which I love. And then we've got a few more bit standard bits, but some great classic albums. And then we hit Bryan Ferry and Roxy Music. Like I said, he was a guy that found a band, loved them, and then would just buy everything by them. So this is all Roxy Music or Roxy Music associated. Nothing wrong with that. Some absolutely storming albums there. And yes, luckily he did have loads of Brian Eno as well, which is priced up here, ready to rumble, but a lot of that is coming home with me to start with. So continuing into this box here, which is the same collection, Cabaret Voltaire, which is a band I've not really listened to, but judging that it's in this collection, it's definitely something that I should listen to, because the guy's got good taste. So those will be hitting. John Cale, a Tricky album, lots of Devo, and then yeah, Susie and the Banshees, he was a big fan, so there's loads of Susie. Simple Minds, and then we go into like OMD and stuff like that. Obviously a bit of Joy Division, because that's where that single came from. More Durutti Column. One of my absolute favourite punk albums going. X-Ray Specs, love that. Absolute energy, unbounded. So as you can see, when he found an artist that he liked, he collected the lot usually, or a large percentage of it. Lots of electro-y, post-punky kind of stuff in there, really good. Oh, that Nico album, I've not actually listened to that either. So that's the end of that collection. Like I say, really good. Looking forward to pricing that. Some of that collection has already gone out, and I'll show you in that box in a minute. And then this is a collection that came in just yesterday. A guy gave us a call and said, yeah, I worked in a record shop the end of the 80s, and it's sort of indie, 80s indie stuff. You can't go wrong, to be honest, can you? That's the original Plastic Bad that came in. Again, another band that I came to through other bands. So Franz Ferdinand said in an interview that Fire Engines were one of their biggest favourite bands, massive influence. And that's the absolute great thing about living in the time we do, is that you can go back and discover stuff and listen to current stuff too. That's a later 80s press. Oh, Aztec Cameras, I was just going to say about that. I mean, Roddy Frame, an amazing songwriter, perfectly crafted 80s pop, and a huge inspiration to Johnny Marr, who was chatting about these and saying, I just wanted to write songs as good as Aztec Cameras. Later press of Who, got Pink Floyd, and then some standardy bits that go into here. I think Creedence, Velvets, but all good stuff. A bit more Talking Heads. Again, more 80s-y pop. These collections, I reckon, could actually go together. This is the poppier end of it, and the other one is the post-punky side of the stuff, you know. I mean, I'm sure I've spoken about this album before, but my God. People say you should have a guilty pleasure. I don't believe in guilty pleasures, because there's nothing guilty about liking good music, and that album falls into that. It's an absolute belting album. Love it. More Talking Heads, excited to get out. Some U2, a bit of Bowie, one of my absolute favourites there. But that is a later press of that on a green label, but still great, because it will mean that somebody can grab a copy for a bit cheaper than an original. And then, like I said, he was working in a record shop at the time, so he got loads of promo advanced DJ copies of stuff. Unfortunately, no sort of really interesting stuff. A few Echo and the Bunny Mum things, Bananarama there, Thompson Twins, and maybe just bits for the completist. If you were completing your collection of an artist, you might want some of those. I think there was a Sparks one that we came across, but not hugely valuable but cool nonetheless. And then, as we're always working super quick in the shop, this was the same collection, but we've got through it as quickly as we can, getting it priced, ready to go out. So some nicer early REM, Cure. I think that was in a different collection, it's just ended up in there. So the nicer, lovely bit of New Order. Weather Prophets and Rain Parade. I mean, I'm really enjoying the Weather Prophets. A couple of albums went home with me off that. Anyway, New Order, the first pressing with the silver inner and the die cut sleeve. And I was complaining to someone the other day saying, oh, we only get represses in, I've never had an original, and then 2 came in. So that's quite nice. Obviously, as a repress, they come in and they're like 15, 20 quid, but an original one is quite hard to come by with the proper sleeve and everything. More indie stuff. Frankie Goes to Hollywood. A few Cocteau Twins bits in here. As you can see, the sort of cooler side of indies pop music. So this is the craft work that was from the other collection that we've priced up ready to go, which is nice. Can't wait to get that out. I love this. So punk, they didn't even give you a sleeve. I don't know, he must have lost the sleeve. What a swindle, eh? And he made his own sleeve, and I love how he's even cut out the letters and stuck them on. Pure punk aesthetic, that. Lots of Orange Juice, absolute genius stuff, and then loads of Jesus and Mary Chain, which will be coming out. Again, all of these collections could probably fit together, and it's weird to get collections so similar so close together. So yeah, we don't want any more 80s indie at the moment. So yeah, some really nice stuff there, because it's a little bit, it's not your usual stuff. There's some bands that you might explore or remember, or that you don't see all the time, which is really nice. So just a little look there through a couple of collections that have come in recently. I wouldn't say that's a typical load of collections to come in after each other. That is a really, really good month. A really good couple of collections. And a lot of the time we're dealing with, you know, maybe 3, 4, 5 collections a day of stuff that isn't sellable, that would go in our free box or to charity, or stuff that we, you know, don't need or want, or just standard stuff that we see all the time. These two collections are pretty great, so that's why I thought I'd do a video so you can have a look. But yeah, if anything else interesting comes in, I'll let you know as well. And don't know about the next video, so be helpful. Put in the comments if you'd like me to do a video specifically on something about the shop, and I'll try and fulfill that. I will apologise, sorry that this video has been a bit bitty bobby. I recorded an amazing video, you're missing out, yesterday, but the microphone didn't work, so there was no sound, and I've had to record this while the shop is open. Hopefully it gives you an idea of some of the stuff coming in anyway. But thank you guys, and I'll see you next week. Cheers.